With the world in chaos, wrestling shows nearly coming to a full stop, and wrestlers being quarantined left, right, and centre, AEW have decided now is the perfect time to announce a new mid-card championship. Makes perfect sense. AEW announced in their Road to Dynamite series that they will be debuting the AEW TNT Championship, which will be contested in an 8-man tournament over the next 2 months, starting on Wednesday the 8th of April and culminating in the final at their next big pay-per-view, Double or Nothing, on May 23rd. The brackets will be announced on tonight's episode of Dark and tomorrow's Dynamite. The observant amongst you might already have seen a problem with this. Surely Vacant can't wrestle himself that many times, no matter how many titles he's won in the past. But also, the world is currently ending, and it's highly doubtful Double or Nothing will even take place in under 2 months' time. It's either a smart move, giving AEW TV something meaningful to flesh out the next several weeks of self-isolation programming that they can bulk film in advance, or a haphazard panic one, wasting the future potential of putting this tournament on in front of a live audience. As we've seen over the past 2 weeks, wrestling promos might actually be better with no fans. But the drama, action, and in-ring psychology for actual wrestling matches is greatly enhanced by a hot crowd, as AEW presumably realized when they decided to postpone their 10-person Blood and Guts Don't Call It War Games match that was meant to take place last Wednesday. A mid-card championship is something AEW fans have been asking for since the company's inception though, and it will give the promotion's excellent mid-card roster a title to fight over. And naming what is essentially their TV title after their TV network, TNT, is a wonderfully corporate baby-facing move too, as TNT's official Twitter account gloated, boasting that nobody else has their own wrestling championship belt like you, TBS. TBS, you suck! TNT versus TBS in the Blood and Guts Don't Call It War Games match confirmed. Do you think AEW should have postponed their mid-card title reveal until after Steve Corino has passed? Let me know why in the comments, because I'll be replying to people from out of nowhere. And now we go from whether AEW should be delivering on something they've advertised to something WWE has advertised that they won't be delivering. Goddamn nailed that segue. WrestleMania 36 will be the strangest WrestleMania in history, with it taking place in front of no fans, being broadcast over 2 nights, featuring hastily thrown together matches that have had to be replaced last minute with even more hastily thrown together matches, and most crazily, it'll be hosted by the Gronk. The biggest of these changes is to one of the show's top matches. Goldberg defending his Blue Universal Championship against Roman Reigns, where Reigns was expected to win. But late last week, it was reported Reigns had pulled out of the show, with The Miz turning up sick to tapings, making Roman's real-life cousins, the Usos, very unhappy, and prompting Reigns to understandably prioritize his health over his job. Despite this though, WWE has continued to advertise Reigns vs Goldberg as if it's totally still happening, showcasing video packages, Triple H hyping the encounter on last Friday's SmackDown, and the bout still showing up on WWE.com. But that'll presumably have to change soon, as Roman Reigns himself has now confirmed the reports in an Instagram live stream. For all my fans, you know I'm sorry I didn't get to compete this year and put on a show and entertain, but sometimes things are more important, and I had to make a choice for me and my family. But no matter what, you already know the deal. I had to make a decision for me. Roman has overcome 2 battles with leukemia in his life, the most recent of which concluded last year, and that puts him at a higher risk of contracting a more serious case of the disease. While initial reports said Roman pulled out of Mania for his own health, his Instagram post reveals he didn't just do it for himself, but also for his family, who he is around with at home too. With Reigns being at a higher risk for a more serious strain of Steve Corino, the reports were he made the call to not wrestle at the no-fans show of shows for his own health. However, in this Instagram post, he says that he not only did it for himself, but also for his family, who he has to be around at home too, suggesting some of those are older family, another demographic more susceptible to the disease. And it's not just Reigns who's confirmed he won't be wrestling at WrestleMania, as the very man who was promoting Roman vs. Goldberg live on SmackDown just several days ago, Triple H, has confirmed that isn't the case to ESPN SportsCenter. All of our talent are in this in a voluntary capacity, so right at the get-go, if they don't want to be a part of this, if they feel there's a risk for whatever reason, be it themselves or somebody around them, they don't have to be here, and nothing is held against them for that. Same with our crew and everybody else. But we don't want to take chances on that, and with Roman having a pre-existing condition that would make him more susceptible to something, it's understandable. Hopefully WWE themselves announce that eventually too, because they sure didn't on last night's Stay Home episode of Monday Night Raw, rather than Go Home episode. Super proud of that one. After opening on a video package hyping AJ Styles versus Michelle McCool, McCool's husband Mark Calloway cut a promo on her behalf. And it really was more Mark than Supernatural Undertaker, wearing a bandana and a leather jacket like his old American badass character. Taker even used one of his badass catchphrases, promising he'll make AJ famous. It was one of the best promos in their feud so far, blending reality with fiction far smoother than Styles' work. But Taker still managed to turn super lame by saying McCool does the Styles Clash better than AJ. Optimus Lynch showed up earlier in the day, where she transformed into Becky Prime to introduce her WrestleMania 35 three-way main event against Charlotte and Ronda Rousey, which reminded everyone that Becky actually never pinned Ronda because Ronda's shoulders were up. It's a shame Shayna Baszler hasn't used that real-life detail to fuel her feud against Lynch. She's got a very legitimate argument that her friend Ronda should still be champion, not Becky. Instead, Lynch promised to put Shayna back in Rousey's shadow, so Baszler choked her out from behind. Aleister Black squashed enhancement talent Jason Cade. What Bobby Lashley feud? Such build! After recapping Seth's brilliant promo last week, we got the only real new wrestling on the show, a six-man tag of Kevin Owens and the Street Profits versus Seth Rollins, Andrade, and Angel Garza. A match likely made because Seth's faction is either self-isolating like Buddy Murphy or actually injured, as Akam tore his bicep before the world started to end. And that wasn't the only injury affecting this match or WrestleMania plans. Zelina Vega revealed Andrade can't compete because of a serious injury to his ribs, so she's debuting WWE's hottest new agent, Austin Theory. This actually really got Vega over as a faction-leading mastermind. Theory was never really given a chance to shine in this six-man though, where he was mainly just there to provide another body. A body, unfortunately, that was seemingly out of position for a huge over-the-top rope senton from Montez Ford, complete with typically ridiculous airtime, who crashed and burned hard onto the steel ramp. Theory was protected in the finish though, where Owens stunned Garza for the win, whom Rollins got a cheap stomp in after the bell. One quick Big Show sitcom trailer next. Move aside, Tiger King, there's a new best show ever in town. The episode came back to Owens alone in the ring to answer Seth's excellent promo from last week. KO got to call Rollins a dip S-word and laid out that all of Seth's Mania moments were either because he had other people help him or he used underhand tactics. Owens also acknowledged Pot Kettle Tyler Black, but then explained that this Saturday, so it will be a night one match then, none of it matters. KO is a fantastic promo, but it's a testament to the rest of the roster that this was only the third or fourth best talking segment of the night. Edge cut an excellent promo backstage afterwards, building his Randy Orton feud, saying that Grit is refusing a spot in Evolution to do it on your own, and that Randy doesn't love him, he's just jealous of Edge's passion. Edge is gonna put Orton back in that hole, and this time he isn't going to help him out. Asuka squashed NXT wrestler Kaden Carter and did promoing in Japanese. Footage was played of Rhea Ripley arriving earlier today, where Charlotte appeared from out of nowhere to kick her into a wall, only it was totally out of perfect vision. How did she sneak up on her? There's like no cover out there. WWE played Brock Lesnar versus Rey Mysterio from November's Survivor Series, where Cain Velasquez was hit so hard it turned him back into Rey's son Dominic. And to close the episode, the Go Home segment of the Go Home Raw. Paul Heyman cut a fantastic promo on Brock's Drew McIntyre match, somehow not just putting over Lesnar and Drew, but also every single wrestler currently on the roster, and a large number of them who have since retired. It's odd that McIntyre wasn't actually on this episode as advertised, but maybe that worked to his advantage. Interestingly, Paul did use his spoiler line, which has a very high success rate of delivering what's been promised, but it seemed to be about Lesnar being champion this time next year, not necessarily about Brock beating Drew this weekend. Let me know what you thought about Raw by clicking the eye above my head to give your rating. Alex Briggs on Cage Side Seat summarized this episode perfectly as promos and the WWE Network simulator. But because those promos were so well done, this was likely a far more effective Go Home episode than WWE would have put on otherwise. Who has a terrible track record of Raws before Mania, it actually made me want to see the matches this weekend, even if one of them is still being advertised despite not taking place. This week's Raw is average. What are the 10 greatest WrestleManias of all time? Click the video on the right for Adam Blompier's latest list, and he's also got 10 things we learned from Luke Harper's shoot interview on WWE. Click the video below that to watch it. I've been Ollie Davis, and that was wrestling.